Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning to everyone. I am Nur Alia binti Usman from Group 6. My group mates are Suraya Atira, Safwah Mansurah and Sharifah Rosdi Laila. So today our group are going to present on the issues related to our chosen text, which are Death is Hard Work by Khalid Khalifa and The Crossing by Samar Yazbek. Firstly, I will present the issues on the first text, which is Death is Hard Work, and will be followed by my groupmate Safwa on The Crossing. So, Death is Hard Work, which was published in 2016, is about three siblings' journey, Bulbul, Hussein, and Fatima, to bury their father, Abdul Latif, who died in Damascus, in their ancestral village of Anbiya, and face challenges because their country is a war zone. The time setting of the story is in Syrian civil war, which was started when some teenagers were tortured and arrested because they painted slogan of the revolution on a school wall. This put the Syrian citizens in anger until they demanded for President al-Assad to resign from his position. When he refused, then the war started to begin between his supporters and opponents. We found political, environmental, and economic issues of Syria that can be related to this text. The first issue that can be related to this text is political issue. The setting of this story was in the 3 years of Syrian civil war. It all started in 2011 when young protesters were shot to death, which led to the uprising of violence. The escalated violence has provoked bombings all over Syria, where the rebels were fighting against the government. The result of this political tension between the opposition and the government are the lands were destroyed and there were security checkpoints, which has made the siblings' journey much harder. The destroyed lands due to the civil war include the destruction of the six UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which is one of them was Syria's capital of Aleppo. The next issue is economic issue. In the text, the characters have to take 3 days to bury their dead father, and he even started to rot in the backseat of the minivan. The journey is difficult because there are too many roadblocks, and they are even constantly in anxiety of being bombed or shot. The difficulty of their journey shows that it must be even harder to go to work and find enough to eat. The strain to go to work resulted in the downfall of Syria's economy. The war has caused shortage of labor and inputs such as seeds, fertilizers and fuel, also a widespread damage to the irrigation system. About 40% of total agricultural production accounted for Syria's livestock economy was severely affected by the conflict. The Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) has reported that poultry has less than 60%, whereas for sheep and goats are 40% fewer, and for cattle is 30% fewer. And according to the Food for the Hungry, a non-profit organization, the Syrian refugees struggle to find income for their families, which led to disease and death, especially for children. Lack of education due to war for refugees under 18 will cause poverty when the war has ended. The last issue that can be related to the text is environmental issue. As the setting of this novel is in Syria's current war, the landscape of the setting is described as hungry dogs seeking to eat even human flesh in the text. The description entails that Syria is experiencing desertification since it seems like there is nothing organic such as plants or trees where fruits can be born for the dogs to eat. The possibility for a dog to eat even human flesh also indicates that many Syrians are dead because of the desertification and drought. According to a report by the New Humanitarian in the article entitled Syria Act Now to Stop Desertification, says FAO, Syrian Arab Republic, desertification in Syria can be caused naturally such as lack of rainfall, or man-made such as poor water management wasteful irrigation systems, and overgrazing. In this case, it could be explained that the desertification is man-made. The country is in a war, so it makes the government incapable of handling this issue properly. According to Douglas Johnson, an expert in desertification, this phenomenon is usually caused by human activity. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Safwa and I will continue the presentation with another text by Samar Yazbek titled The Crossing, published in 2016. Samar Yazbek, who is a Syrian writer, was exiled from her homeland when she opposed Assad's government even before the uprising in 2011. This book highlights Yazbek's journey going back to Syria in 2012 and 2013 as she felt the need to return home although she knew it would jeopardize her own life. As the civil war has escalated since 2011, Yazbek returned home in hope to see that things have changed. However, she was devastated by the condition in Syria has gotten worse, with bombings, destroyed cities, different rebels and jihadis are on the rise. She returned to Syria in 2012 through illegal crossing. In part of her story, she told the readers that as she returned home, she saw a rise in jihadist movement that has weakened the Free Syria Army, the rebel movements. The constant change in Syria in 2012 and 2013 shows that the civil war was no longer a war between the government and the rebels, as there was international intervention from big countries such as Russia and the United States, and also the rise of many jihadist movements like ISIS. Besides that, in this book, Samar illustrates the lives of Syrians during the rise of rebels, jihadist movements that have taken a toll in her community. For example, in her book, she mentioned that Syrian people will be detained randomly while they are living their life, and were asked to do something unimaginable by military officers. Samar emphasized that her country was once peaceful and everyone was living a normal life, and this privilege has been taken away by the endless war. Later in 2013, which was her last time in Syria, many parts of her country were run by different rebels. For instance, in northern Syria, which has been controlled by ISIS. And she also mentioned that the current situation in Syria has made it difficult for journalists and activists to provide help and support, as many areas has become inaccessible. This first-hand experience by Samar provide a better understanding of what had happened in Syria for the past years. Next, moving on to the relevance of this text to the economic state in Syria, this author highlights in her book that how the Syrians tried to flee themselves from their homeland to a much safer place. In order for Syrians to depart from Syria, they have to request for exit pass from the authority. And unfortunately, most of them couldn't afford to pay the exit pass. This shows that many Syrians have financial constraints due to the war, thus leading to a rising number of refugees, especially in Turkey. Yazbek also shared her experience during her illegal crossing returning back to her homeland. She shared in one interview on how she had to disguise her origins and change her accent whenever people found her suspicious. These were the things she had done to let herself safe while she was in Syria. Lastly, in her book, she explained that the civil war has its repercussion to the economy state in Syria, where there were many orchards and farms were destroyed due to the political feud between the government and the rebels, and also the jihadist movement. In conclusion, these texts have provided a clear picture of what has happened in Syria. Their stories have contributed a lot to society by illustrating the horror of living in a place where peace, security, and tranquility are absent. Through these stories, the readers are aware of the issues happening all over the world. That's all from us. Thank you.